Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was born in 1875 at Karamsad, a village in Kera district in Gujarat. Vallabhbhai Patel was one of the great social leaders of India and is called the Iron Man of India. He is also considered to be the architect of modern India and played a crucial role during the freedom struggle. In 1931, Patel was elected President of Indian National Congress. He brought about the integration of over 500 princely states into the Indian Union after independence. His memorable quote is, "Manpower without unity is not a strength unless it is harmonized and united properly. Then it becomes a spiritual power."
More than 562 or 560 princely states. Princely states, there are many kingdoms in India which were ruled by kings and Nawabs and all. And Pandit and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he was the person to talk to them and merge all that kingdoms into the Indian Republic. Because before partition, the English, the British people, they told, now we are going to leave India. We will give you freedom. But before giving freedom, they decided that they will be dividing India into two parts. And they told, now it is up to you that which kingdom is going to merge with India and which kingdom is going to merge with Pakistan. It was Sardar Vallabhbhai's effort that he went to each and every princely states, and then what he did, he convinced them, he talked with them, and he merged more than 500 princely states. Today the shape of India, what you are seeing, is shaped by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
Born in Mecca in 1888, the Maulana came to India in 1890. As a child, he joined the freedom movement of India and was arrested by the British for his revolutionary writings. On his release in January 1920, he met Gandhiji in the Sabarmati Ashram and became his follower. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad was a scholar and a great patriot. He was the face of communal harmony in modern India, a renowned scholar and an active political leader. Azad was inspired by Gandhiji and was an active supporter of the latter's non-violence, civil disobedience, and non-cooperation movements. His memorable quote is, "You have to dream before your dreams can come true."
Maulana Abul Kalam, he was a man of words. He was a very seasoned politician. He was a scholar. He was a philosopher. And in this chapter, we'll read that many people, they used to write poems or writings that used to arouse the feeling of patriotism, that used to arouse the feeling of sacrifice for the nation. People of all strata and all caste and creed were together in the freedom struggle. He was the face of, when if Gandhiji was there, then Maulana was also there. People thought that Hindus and Muslims, Sikhs and Christians, Jews, Jains, Parsis, all were together to chase the British away from India. Our next Maulana Abul Kalam's quote is, "You have to dream before your dreams come true." Dream is not that what you are sleeping and dreaming. It is not that. You have to think. You have to plan what you want to become. First, you have to set a goal, and then you have to work.
Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar, born as Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar in Mhow, Madhya Pradesh on 14th April 1891. Dr. Ambedkar played a tremendous role in shaping modern India and transforming millions of oppressed people into educated and responsible citizens of the country. He was popularly known as Baba Saheb. He became the first law minister of India and also became the chairman of the Constitution Drafting Committee. For his contributions, Dr. Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar was awarded with Bharat Ratna in 1990. His memorable quote is, "Life should be great rather than long."
The land of number of people speaking various languages, of various ethnicity, people of various caste, people of various creed, of various religion, practicing various cultures. So many tribals were there, many scheduled castes, scheduled tribes were there. So all these persons, to keep the interest, to so that no one is neglected, was also big task for Ambedkar. Ambedkar then fetched constitution of more than 35 countries. He went through that, and then he drafted and formed the Constitution of India. Just imagine, children, when a teacher is sending you question and answer, and just to copy it from the cell phone or from the laptop to your notebook, it is a big job for you. And imagine that Ambedkar, he studied, he read all these constitutions of various countries, and then keeping in mind of Indian diaspora. Diaspora means Indian, the differences. He then he then framed the constitution, and thus our constitution came into existence on 26 January 1950, and all the credit goes to Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar. Ambedkar is a very eminent personality of Indian independence struggle. His memorable quote is, "Life should be great rather than long." Very nicely said. Rather to lead a long life uselessly is better to live a short life and fruitful life. In the chapter ahead, in this chapter only, we will learn that Bhagat Singh, at a very young age of 23-24, he was hanged to death.
Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore was born on 7th May 1861 in Calcutta, now Kolkata. He was the first Asian to be awarded the Nobel Prize in 1930. He was a Bengali poet, author, songwriter, philosopher, artist, and educator who wrote Gitanjali in 1917. In 1912, Tagore founded Shantiniketan, which was a college until independence. In 1951, it was given the status of a university and renamed Vishwabharati University. It was an experimental school based on Ashrama model, the first of its kind that focused on learning in a harmonious and natural environment. It is now a prestigious open-air university. Gurudev was also known to take part in freedom movement by composing a number of patriotic songs, by opening a Swadeshi shop selling only Indian goods, and by rejecting foreign goods. He composed our national anthem, Jana Gana Mana. His memorable quote is, "Faith is the word that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark."
So, our next eminent personality, or our next Indian who struggled for Indian independence was, all of you are much aware of this person, is Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. All of you see the picture in the textbook. Whenever we think about Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, his white locks and his white bed, long bed comes to our mind. And we all know him better because when that 2 minutes or 3 minutes of national anthem which we sing at our school daily is a part of our life. He was a author, poet, songwriter, philosopher, artist, educator, and he won Nobel Prize, world's greatest, world's most renowned prize, Nobel Prize, for his epic, for his book Gitanjali, the epic poetry Gitanjali. Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, he was the person, he was a poet who was filled with patriotism. He wrote revolutionary poems which incited the people, which which aroused the feeling of nationalism and feeling of sacrifice for the nation. Rabindranath Tagore founded Vishwabharati, founded Shantiniketan. Shantiniketan, why did he found Shantiniketan? Why did he make, how is Shantiniketan different from other universities? Now it is renamed as Vishwabharati. Well, how it is different from other universities? Because in ancient times, in the Aryan period, the education system was like Gurukul system. Gurukul means, Guru means teacher, Kul means his home or family. The prince, the children of king, the children of rich persons, they used to go to the Guru, and Guru used to live in the forest, in the heart of the forest. There, these children used to live at the very young age. They used to go with the Guru, and after passing the education, everything, when they were 14 or 15 years, after completing total education, they were returning back to their families. Nowadays, when you are going to school, your mummy, she's making you to have your bath, she's making you to wear the clothes, preparing breakfast for you, then she's arranging your books as per a timetable in the bag, and then she's giving you the tiffin with breakfast so that you will take and you'll go, and then after your coming, she gives you lunch and all. So your only task is to study. Whereas even the king's children, the prince and princesses and all, when they were in the Gurukul, they had to cultivate the food, they have to harvest it, they have to cook the food, they have to wash their own clothes, they have to fetch firewood for cooking, they have to cook not only for themselves, they have to cook, they had to cook for the teacher, they had to cook for their friends. And not only the Vedas, not only the book, the knowledge from not only they acquired the knowledge of the book. At that time they acquired the knowledge, they acquired various art and various types of other things also. They learned the art of fighting, horse riding, sword fighting. They even learned archery. They were fit, and they were in every process of life. They were practically trained to do everything. So to revive that olden days, the glory of that olden period of India, Rabindranath Tagore, he established Shantiniketan. And till to date, if you will go, I have not gone, but I have heard that till date, if you will go to Shantiniketan, you'll find that a teacher is sitting under a banyan tree or mango tree, and all the students are sitting down on the ground, and classes are imparted. It is not someone is going, let me see, let us see. No, till today that is there. And after getting Nobel Prize, Rabindranath Tagore, he was conferred knighthood by King Philip V. In the last chapter, I had told you this thing. But after the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, Rabindranath Tagore was moved by the mass butchering, the mass massacre of the British by of the uh, British who killed Indians. So he returned his knighthood. He returned them to. So Rabindranath Tagore even set up Swadeshi shops where he sold only Indian goods, and never he advocated the use of foreign materials. Rabindranath Tagore, faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark. Faith is our hope, our belief that it is like a bird. When you see, you must never have heard that birds are chirping at night. Birds usually chirp in the morning at the dawn when the day is about to arrive. It is a symbol of their happiness that a new day is going to arrive. Same way, he asked the Indians to be happy because the days of British were over in India and they were about to leave India. And a new hope, a new light, a new day was to arrive in India. And
Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, born on 23rd January 1897 in Cuttack, Subhash Chandra Bose joined the Congress movement in order to serve his motherland and to achieve freedom from British rule. In 1938, he was unanimously elected president of the Haripura Congress session. In the presidential election to Tripuri Congress session in 1939, he was re-elected, defeating Dr. Pattabhi Sitaramayya. He later left the party following differences of opinion with Gandhiji and formed a new party called the Forward Bloc. During World War II in 1941, Bose escaped from Calcutta in disguise of a Maulvi and reached Germany under an Italian name, Orlando Mazzotta. He reformed the Indian National Army. In 1943, he was called Netaji by the New Indian Army. His memorable quote is, "A true soldier needs both military and spiritual training."
eminent personality of Indian freedom struggle is Subhash Chandra Bose. He was born in Cuttack, and Subhash Chandra Bose was elected as the president of Indian National Congress twice. Once in Haripura session. Haripura is in Gujarat. And session means it is not that the meeting is in the posh hotel with long beautiful table with mineral waters kept in a AC hall. No, it was not like that. Earlier, the Congress sessions were held amidst people, with thousands of people sitting, and on a stage was there, and all the eminent leaders used to sit there, and then a leader was, or the president was um, selected unanimously. So in Haripura Congress session, he was selected as the president. The following year in Tripuri Congress session, again he was selected as the president of Indian National Congress. But due to his differences of opinion, because his views and Mahatma Gandhi's views, Mahatma Gandhi was that let us talk, let us tell the British, please you go away. And Mahatma Gandhi was a cool kind of person, and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was a bit aggressive type of person. So he then he, due to the clash of opinion, due to the difference of opinion, not clash, actually difference of opinion, because his views and Gandhi's views did not match, he left Congress, and then he formed his own party, the Forward Bloc. Then after some times, then he was known as the master of disguise, because many a times, sometimes he used to become like Italian, he used to make over himself as Italian, and as a Maulvi he disguised himself in a get-up of Maulvi and escaped from Delhi, because in the prior chapter we had learned that to protest his to to express his resentment that India, without in the consent of Indians, the British, they forced India in the World War II. So he was arrested, and as soon as he came out, he just in a disguise of Maulvi, he escaped to from Afghanistan to from Afghanistan he escaped to Germany, and from Germany then he formed the Indian National Army. He gathered all the expatriate, all the people who had escaped to Germany and all other countries. He gathered them and formed the Indian National Army. From there he went to Japan. The king of Japan also helped him. From there, from Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, where he came back to, from Burma and all, he came back to India, and then he struggled with, and then he just played his part to free India from uh, the clutches of British. One of his famous quote is, "A true soldier needs to be needs both military and spiritual training." Yes, it is very well said, because until and unless you are not disciplined and you don't have the capacity, you don't have the capacity to control your mind, your military training is just vague. It is useless. So you have to be you have to be spiritually strong. Then only you can, because spirituality, it improves the concentration, and when it's improved the concentration, you can deal with your enemies with very accuracy, and with precision you can deal with them. So Subhash Chandra Bose, all of you must be knowing about Subhash Chandra Bose. Shahid Bhagat Singh is considered a symbol of heroism. He was born in a Sikh family in Lalpur, Punjab on 27th September 1907. He was a national hero and the most influential revolutionary during the independence movement for India. The only goal Bhagat Singh had was to destroy the British Empire. Bhagat Singh accidentally shot Assistant Superintendent Saunders, whom he mistook for Deputy Inspector General Scott, the British official responsible for the killing of Lala Lajpat Rai. He also threw a bomb in the Central Legislative Assembly on 8th April 1929 and was
arrested thereafter. Bhagat Singh, along with Sukhdev and Rajguru, was sentenced to death by a court for his revolutionary activities. Bhagat Singh's famous quote was, "My religion is to serve the country."
Next, the youth icon, the national hero of India is Shahid Bhagat Singh. Shahid means a person who dedicates his life, who sacrifices his life for the cause of the nation, for the love of the nation. Bhagat Singh was born in Lailpur in Punjab, and at a very young age, because his family was involved in freedom struggle, he used to watch all these things in his family, and then he came in contact with Lala Lajpat Rai. He used to um, sit with Lala Lajpat Rai, and he used to see all the strategies, and he used to chalk out with him. He was influenced by the principles and by the methods of Lala Lajpat Rai. During the Simon Commission, in the prior chapter we read that during Simon Commission, Lala Lajpat Rai was leading a crowd to agitate, to demonstrate against Simon Commission. And during that agitation, the English soldiers or the British soldiers, they did lathi charge on the mob, and one stick, it came and it hit the chest of Lala Lajpat Rai. After some days, Lala Lajpat Rai expired, he died. So to avenge the death of Lala Lajpat Rai, Bhagat Singh wanted to kill General Scott, Deputy Inspector General Scott. But mistakenly, Bhagat Singh and his friends and his associates, they killed Assistant Superintendent Saunders. He was killed. But still then Bhagat Singh and his friends were at large. They were not caught. At large means they were not caught by the police. But this inspired them that if British are doing harm, they can kill our people, they can harm our people. We have also, because the way of Bhagat Singh was an extremist leader. If you'll kill us, we'll kill you. His principle was same. So then Bhagat Singh, along with his friend Sukhdev, Rajguru, and all these people, once they entered the Central Legislative Assembly Hall, and there they wanted to keep their voice, they wanted to keep their views, and the English was not ready to hear them, because English did not want to. English were knowing everything, but why will they free India when they are getting resources and everything for free? Why will they leave India? Then what they did? So Bhagat Singh, to keep his voice, they threw bomb in this Central Legislative Assembly. When they threw bomb at this assembly, their intention was not to kill anybody, but after throwing bomb, they just threw the pamphlets there. And when they threw the pamphlets, a small paper written something. So they threw in the pamphlet was written that British, you should go back, free our India. All that the demands were kept. And Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru were arrested, and they were hanged to death. It is said, it is believed that when Bhagat Singh was about to be hanged, he kissed the gallows. Gallows means the rope which was to be put on his throat. He kissed it, and when the Indian masses came to know about his sacrifice, they just were amazed that a boy of young age of 23, 24 has avenged the death of his fellow man, and he has sacrificed his life, young life, for the cause of nation. His quote is, "My religion is to serve the country," and it was true. He was, because children, what happens, no, just you when you will feel. I'm going to tell you something. You will feel that when children. I'll tell you something. Feeling of patriotism. How does it arise? When some player is going to Commonwealth Games, Olympics. Let us consider Olympics. Preparation for Olympic is not a one-day effort. It is effort of years to prepare. And we think that the person who is going to Olympics, he will earn money, he will get the gold medal, he will become famous, he will have all sorts of money and all. But if you watch one Olympic Games, just watch something. This year, when I had watched one or two Olympic Games, what happens when you see, when the player he wins a medal, whether it is gold, silver, bronze, it does not matter, because it is a recognition only. First, second, third. A person wins a medal among various athletes from all over the world. Just among the medal is, he's winning the medal from a crowd from the whole world. He's the best three are getting. And when he stands on the podium with the tricolor on, wrapped with tricolor, and when he stands there and the Indian tricolor is hoisted with the national anthem Jana Gana Mana written by Rabindranath Tagore, then the feeling of sensation, people, those who see that, they don't tell that it is the player who has won. Only one thing comes, that India has won. Then comes the identity of the player. First, it is the identity of the country. It is the identity of the nation. When the player wins the medal, it is not, people don't say that the player has won they will not say that the player has won the medal. They say that India has won the medal. There the player is not the individual identity, it is closed, and the identity of the nation is there. There he represents as a nation. That is patriotism. He is equivalent to a soldier there, because he has represented his country, and he has fought with the athletes, he has competed with the athletes of whole world to bring recognition to his nation. That is patriotism. And that you will feel, because you all are not, because mobile has overtaken all your creativity and all, and you all cannot feel that thing, because you should feel all these things, children. Not only just, don't live in an artificial world, come to reality. You should love your family, your country first. His memorable quote is, "My religion is to serve the country." Yes, not only his, it should be our motto is, our motto should be there, that our religion should be to serve our country, because it is our motherland. Just imagine now now, because this is our lockdown classes, you all are sitting at home. Many children are fighting with their parents, we want to play, we want to go out, we are feeling boring. Just imagine, you are feeling boring at home. People with little children, they are coming thousands of kilometers to their home. At least you are in your home. One girl, she carried his sick father on the bicycle at a tender age of 13 and 14, and she has brought from 1200 or 1300 kilometers, she has brought her father. You are happy that you are living in your own home. You are just sitting on your sofa and watching television. Mommy is preparing beautiful food and tasty food, and she is serving you. You are eating. If it is tasty, then if it is tasty, you appreciate. And if it is not tasty, then you yell and shout and scream. You are blessed, and remember that, and use this blessing for the creative